I'm David Trimble with the Religious Freedom Institute. We're here at the International Religious Freedom Summit in Washington, D.C. with Reghan Buie. Reghan, welcome.
Thank you, David. Great to be here.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
Good. Is this your first time at the summit?
This is my first time at the summit, and I am ecstatic to be here.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, Reghan, we're just going to spend a few minutes together, and I just want to have a conversation about you and about religious freedom, about the summit. Where are you from, Reghan?
I'm originally from Youngstown, Ohio, so northeast.
Northeast.
Yes.
And where did you go to college?
I went to college at the University of Cincinnati. I just graduated this past April in 2022.
All right. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And what was your degree program? What did you major and minor in?
Yeah, so I studied English and political science.
And political science.
Yes.
So now you're here in D.C. at the hub of politics.
For sure.
How's that going so far?
It's amazing. Honestly, I never had saw DC in my upcoming future. It was always kind of a distant dream. And then you specifically and RFI gave me the opportunity to come to DC and work at RFI in the office. And really, it was a dream so good that I hadn't even dreamt it yet. And so a dream come true. And when I came to DC, I was a little overwhelmed. You know, there's a lot going on. I'm from a small town. And so coming to the city was just a major blessing, because when I stepped into the RFI office, it was like a little piece of home away from home. Everybody just surrounded me like a family, and I felt totally supported. And so I could face DC.
Well, it's an active city, to be sure, and one full of a lot of opinions, no doubt. Well, you were an intern at RFI. Did you find that program valuable?
Oh my gosh, absolutely, yes. I mean, I always knew that religious freedom was important, and just growing up as Christian myself, and I knew, this is the reason why I can practice my beliefs, and that there are people who cannot do that. But my internship program at RFI was the reason why I could begin to articulate why I believed in this and what exactly it was that I believed in. I had never really learned how to defend my faith, but working at RFI made me realize how important it is to know how to do that and to actually have these conversations with people of all beliefs or no beliefs. And I honestly started stepping out of my comfort zone to do that. And it didn't just become a conversation about work and about the internship. It became more than that. It was a conversation about my faith, about other people's faiths, and just their beliefs in general.
Well, that's great. So, Reghan was an intern at RFI and just recently joined our staff. We're so glad to have her as an intern. We often say to our interns that once you intern with RFI, we never let you go. And Reghan's a perfect example of that. So Reghan, as you know, education is an important part of RFI. At RFI, we're trying to kind of restore the understanding of religion and religious freedom back into the academy, really in schools of all levels. But I want to talk a little bit about your experience where you went to college. Would you say on your campus, was religion and religious freedom a topic of conversation that, was kind of open in the classrooms and maybe beyond the classrooms, out into the quad or hanging out with your peers? Was that a topic of conversation that kind of freely flowed about religion and religious freedom?
I wish I could say yes, but for the most part, no. I was very fortunate to have one professor who had a particular interest in religious freedom, but when it comes to the overall attitude of the school, absolutely not. It was always focusing on other rights and some more civil rights and kind of making some civil rights, arguing for them to be natural rights. But whenever somebody brings up religion, it instantly becomes a topic that they stray away from. We can talk about sexuality and all these different things that usually wouldn't be as openly talked about, but when it came to religion, it was very hush-hush, very keep it on the low, and so no, honestly, I would try to ask some questions in class or bring it up and, oh yes, we have our First Amendment, that's great, let's move on.
Yeah. Kind of like the old adage that you hear, never talk about religion and politics at the dinner table. Unfortunately, that's been carried beyond the dinner table. And there's not much conversation about religion and the value of religious freedom in our society today. Well, that's one thing that the IRF Summit and religious freedom are really focused on changing. And you were a part yesterday of a brand new program with the IRF Summit and with RFI, the Young Leaders University Scholarship Program that brings in students from all across the U.S. and universities to sit together in a kind of an academic setting, but a conversational setting, and really talk about a principled understanding of why religion and religious freedom is fundamental, not just to American society and culture, but to cultures around the world. Tell me a little bit about the program yesterday. Were you glad to be a part of that program, and did you find it not only educational but inspirational?
Absolutely. I mean, I was just so thankful to be welcomed as a recent grad because the learning doesn't stop at the end of undergrad, obviously. And so, the program, it's just very eye-opening because it really breaks down the basic fundamental understandings of terms that are thrown around often, and people just kind of assume that you have this understanding, and to an extent you may, but these are very deep questions of the conscience, of the soul, of the spirit, things that people ponder for their entire lives. So I wish that the seminars could be 4 days long or 4 years long. I mean, it's just, there's so much to unpack there, but in that one session that we had, I mean, eye-opening. I jotted down my notes. I have an even greater arsenal of defense when it comes to defending religious freedom and my faith, and so I'm very thankful for that time we spent collaborating together with different students. I mean, that's one of the key highlights right there. Just having meetings, other students from other areas, studying all sorts of things, even in higher degree levels, and they have this interest and they have this pursuit of wanting to defend religious and non-religious people alike. And I mean, it's great because I never had met anybody else my age who cared about religious freedom until I came here. And so it was interesting because I not only had these people as fellow students, but they'll be my colleagues and they'll be the people that I can fight alongside in my future. So I'm just thankful for the opportunity to connect with them.
Well, great. One last observation and question. So yesterday in yesterday's program with young leaders, it was really refreshing to see a mix of students from different faith traditions. Around the table, we had students that were from a Muslim background, really from different parts of the world. We had devout Catholics, we had people in the Protestant faith tradition. And that's refreshing to me that we're looking at religious freedom as a topic, an issue that we need to learn and study that's applicable to people of all faith. And tell me how that resonates with you. Is that an important part of your understanding of religious freedom?
Well, throughout my education, there were only a few tables that people of all these different faiths and backgrounds had a seat at, and I'm very proud that religious freedom is one of those tables. Not only did everybody have a seat, but we were pulled up, we were engaged together. And so absolutely, I mean, I had learned about different religions here and there and had met a few people growing up, but it's not until you really get to have the conversations with people of totally different faiths than you and learn, why do you believe what you believe? And what exactly is it that you believe? I think that gets lost sometimes in just the headlines or so on like that. And so it was very eye-opening just to hear people's testimonies. I mean, to see people of completely different faiths working together for a common cause and being able to come together on that, I mean, it was breathtaking.
Yeah, well, that's really a great experience to sit around the table and all of us working together for the common good, right? Well, Reghan, thank you for these few minutes together today and sharing with us. Thank you for being part of the program, and we'll be seeing you soon. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.